Hello everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. If you are here, share with us where you are connecting from before we get started. Today, we are going to be discussing arts as a multidisciplinary subject, and really, just like many other subjects in the Montessori curriculum, um, you will find out that really a lot of things are multidisciplinary in the sense that they are all connected to one another. But before we dive right in, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Nkem Sinachi Ago from the Montessori Home Education Academy. I'm the founder, and I also run the Montessori Home Education Program, which is a 12-month program that coaches parents on how to bring the Montessori method to their home and also to follow a simple curriculum throughout the year. So it's very hands-on but very simple to follow, not overwhelming. You get a few activities a week that you can do with your child. You also have a community of parents, to support, to share ideas, which I think is very, very helpful. And we're going to have an interesting announcement midway today during our session to let you know some of the other perks that will be coming with the program. If you haven't signed up, the early bird offer is still open to till December 6th. It's at 88 card right now, but by December 6th, it's going up to the full price, which I think you would rather not pay that when you can pay a reduced price right now. So we're going to get started. I trust you can all hear and see me. Welcome. Let's know where you are joining from. Before we talk about arts today, Montessori arts, everything fine arts, playing with Play Doh, all sorts of creative things. We're going to be looking at how it is a multidisciplinary subject and how it can actually help your child. And I added that play is ultimately the work of the child, which is a famous Maria Montessori quote that play is the work of the child. A number of times we feel like our children might be playing too much. Oh, they should be reading, they should be solving mathematics, they should be doing some other things. Meanwhile, that play that it looks like they are playing is what is actually helping them to learn. So we're going to be looking at how arts is one of those things. Welcome, Auntie T. Thank you. So we're going to be looking at how arts is one of those things that helps the children to learn. So we're going to get started right away. Okay, so I wrote down a couple of areas that arts easily connects with. Of course, what is arts? Like I was explaining, it can be drawing and painting, it can be coloring. It's not necessarily about the result, especially for young children. We're not trying to see, oh, you drew something that is perfect. No, but just playing with, even sometimes playing with sand, trying to mold things using modeling clay, trying to color, whether it's with marker, with pencil, with crayons, all sorts of coloring tools. Trying to trace, also tracing. These are some of the. Sorry, don't know if you can see me clearly. Just a minute. I think I noticed some shadows. Okay. I hope you see me better now. I don't want to be faded in the background. Okay. Thank you for that. So, So all these are different things that fall under the arts, arts and crafts categories. So we're going to be starting off with mathematics. As last week we talked about, Montessori math and how, okay, great. Thank you very much for the confirmation. So last week we talked about Montessori math and how it is really simplified and it's not as complicated as what we think. How math is really just addition and subtraction because every other thing builds on that, and also understanding numbers 1 to 10 because again every other number builds on that. So we're looking at arts and how does arts, for example, connect to mathematics. I'm going to be sharing a few ideas. So when you have your child just playing around with shapes, playing around with drawing one thing or the other, you find out that almost every artwork, every form of creativity is you can pick out one or two shapes from it, right? So they could be drawing circles, they could be drawing triangles, they could even be tracing, right? And all those. Hi, Fisaya, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So they could be drawing circles, triangles, rectangles. These are all shapes, but then if they are doing it in the form of play, or even if they are using, let's say, modeling clay to make those shapes, then it becomes something enjoyable for them, and you can teach them the mathematical side of it using that medium. You don't have to always say, oh, sit down now, we're going to learn about types of shapes, right? They can color it out, they can shade it, they can use even kinetic sand, um, whatever it is that is moldable, right, to make some of these shapes. Even if they join you in the kitchen, you have cookie cutters that you can use to make. I've seen some people that have cut like bread and all that with, in different shapes. This is how they learn very easily. So arts easily connects with mathematics. Another way it connects is we talk about proportions. I remember I used to draw a lot of cartoons when I was younger, and I still draw a bit, once in a while when I find some time or when I make some time. And really, you find out that there's a lot of proportion and scaling that has to be done when you're trying to produce an artwork. So if I look at a cartoon, maybe something that is just on a plain piece of paper, let's say, okay, I'll just make a very small sketch. So you have something like this, right? And let's say you want to reproduce this drawing on a bigger sheet of paper. You would have to now plan how you want to make this a bigger head, a bigger leg, bigger hand, and all that, right? So this is proportion, this is scaling, and these are all things that come up in mathematics, right? So if your child enjoys drawing, you want to encourage them, even if the drawing doesn't look so fancy, because when the time now comes to teach them, talk about proportions, to talk about scales, to talk about shapes, again, how many shapes can you see in this very funny drawing that a lot of children do? This is a circle, this is a vertical line, horizontal line. This is almost a triangle, right? So if your child likes art and maybe it's like they're not into mathematics, you can use this as a starting point, right? The average person can probably draw this, So the whole idea is look at what they are interested in, and if arts is one of those things, don't be so bent on, oh, this is not looking good, or the hand is bent, or the leg is bent. Look for how you can connect it to that thing that maybe they don't like or they are struggling with, and then once you have that connection, you have their interest, you see that they're able to pick it up faster, because every subject really is connected. Every subject can be found in nature. That's something I like to tell parents in the Montessori home education program. Another thing you have in arts is measuring and estimation, right? So if you're trying to draw or paint something, even being able to say that, oh, this will fit in this particular size of paper, or you need something. I think there was a time I was trying, my our 4-year-old was trying to trace maybe a circle, and she said the cover of the lid she had for a particular container, she said it wouldn't fit on the paper. So she already mentioned, right? She has done some kind of measurement, eye judgment. And this is all something that if you don't think about it, you won't realize that this is just from to trace a simple circle, right? Another thing that, so moving on now, of course, there are so many dimensions to it, so many ways you can look at it. And I think one of the things that really even inspired this topic about arts as a multidisciplinary subject, I was actually doing one of my Bible readings the other day, and I came across a painting that was that was portrayed of Jesus' ascension in the Gospel of Mark, and the painter was I think I wrote down the name, a German Renaissance artist, right, by the name Albrecht Dürer. I may not pronounce it well, but you can check the spelling: Albrecht Durer, and he was basically known as a master of woodcut, engraving, and drawing. But one thing that was also peculiar about this artist, thank you. So one thing that was peculiar about this artist was that not only was he an artist, drawing, paint, and carving, he was also fond. Arts and mathematics is not so far fetched. It's not an imaginary thing. I'm not just making these things up. So this is from which year was it? Okay, I didn't write the year, but it's from the long centuries ago, right? Welcome, Dr. Joy. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Fisayo. Yeah, so the artist was known for using geometrical tools in creating his artwork. And you find arts and mathematics being very connected. It's all about you as the parent being able to draw these skills out of your children, work from their talents, work from where they are, and then progress to where they are not, depending on how you want to help them. And just even encourage them for the sake of the artwork, because there are so many other benefits, even if you're not trying to connect it to maths at that particular point in time. So moving on, another discipline, another subject that arts can easily connect with and is very helpful to is, I would say, arts and language. So language, what is language? We have oral language, the spoken one. We also have the written language. I advise parents, when maybe they say, oh, their child is not interested in holding a pencil, writing anything, I say, take away the pencil, give them a crayon or give them a color pencil. And you see, it's basically the same skill, right? If you have a color pencil with different colors, so this is a pen, anyways, brown, blue, the child is still going to have to make use of the pencil grasp, but this time around they're using something that is colorful that they'll probably enjoy using more than when you say, oh, use this, plain lead pencil to just be tracing things or writing something for the purpose of saying I have completed a particular assignment, right? So when the child is using crayons, especially even those shorter crayons, it's more likely if a child is holding a shorter crayon, the child will most likely hold it towards the bottom than when they have a very long pencil, which is usually one of the struggles, right? When we start off with a big long to hold it and do like this or like that, right? Also, we have some coloring. I think they are called tempera paints, or paint markers, so to speak. So it might look something like this, right? The child just opens it, and again, you see them. They can. This here is a lip gloss, anyways, but the tempera paints looks like this as well. But they are most likely to hold it with that pencil grasp because they are bringing their hand closer to the tip, because it's shorter, and then they can color as they want. As they are doing this coloring, they are playing with colors which they typically enjoy, and at the same time they are developing their fine motor skills, right? Which if you had been trying to force them to use a pencil, they may not be able to build that skill in a relaxed environment because that relaxation is very key for the brain to actually pick interest and to so the writing skills are very much built when the child is coloring, and even when they are working with something like play-doh, modeling clay, the sensorial feedback they get from it is very relaxing. So moving on from language, another thing you can have the benefit of arts as a subject or arts as as an activity, as a play activity, is the fact that the child can easily connect it to emotional regulation, right? So I have an emotions regulation chart, to emotions and facial expressions chart, alongside self-regulation chart that I shared with parents in the Montessori medication program this year. And some of the calm down activities you would find is a lot of arts, a lot of, okay, do you want to draw? Do you want to paint? What is that thing that will help you to feel relaxed? Do you want to play with Play Doh? Because arts, especially when you're not trying to make anything in particular, if a child is feeling, stressed, frustrated, or just having some difficulty, and they get to just start coloring, and I use it as an adult, right? I could just start drawing circles, circles. Before you know it, you're focusing on the circles you're drawing and you're forgetting what it was that was stressing you out. So even adults need this, right? The thing why a lot of adults forget about arts for a while is because they got to that point where arts was seen as something, it's either you're good at it or you're not good at it. Even like music, some people too unfortunately get to that point where they feel, oh, I cannot sing, music is not for me. Meanwhile, it's not just about being able to sing, but even being able to enjoy the production of music, being able to enjoy the sounds, the rhythm that come with it. So arts as well is not, the process is so much more important, so much more relaxing, and very good for emotional regulation. Right? Child is continuously exposed to different resources that would help them, right, to enjoy playing with those, with arts and crafts, even making beads, being able to use like a lace, right, and just be putting beads, not for any specific purpose. You can even use a whole lace and put like 100 beads, 20 beads, however long they can stay and concentrate. It doesn't matter whether they'll convert the bead to a necklace or they'll just spill it out and start afresh. But they have done something very relaxing that has helped them to concentrate. So that takes us to our next point, concentration. A lot of times we may find ourselves saying, oh, children, they don't concentrate, they are jumping from one thing to the other. But you'll find out that, like I normally joke that if you see a child that is, maybe you've not heard their voice for a while and maybe they're painting on the wall, you know that a child can truly concentrate even at a young age. And one of those things that really helps is arts, because just watching the movement of their hands or whatever part of their body, and they're just doing something and seeing something being produced just by their action is such good feedback for them, and they can do it for a long time, typically easily. Because really, when you provide a lot of writing instruments or drawing instruments, coloring instruments, and materials for them, there will be less reason for them to paint on the wall. I This was something I know I've been applying with our two daughters so far, and really they have hardly they've been like maybe very few instances. And so the backup for that is to have washable crayons in the house, keep all permanent markers out of the reach of children to avoid stories that touch, right? So but I found also going to spend a lot of time. They can really do this for a long time compared to what we think. Once we respect that they are spending time doing that, and we don't just interrupt them as if they are doing useless work. We value what they are doing, and we know that they are learning a lot by doing those activities. You find out that they can actually concentrate. They can do it 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. In fact, it's like the more messy the activity is, the longer they can spend on it. If they're able to play with the paint, they're not doing it on the floor that you're concerned about getting messy, like maybe a rug. Of course, you wouldn't want that, right? So concentration concentration and focus is a valuable skill that you need in every other subject, right? If you want to read, if you want to write, if you want to solve mathematics, if you want to create anything, you need to be able to concentrate and block out distractions, right? So arts is one of those things that really helps with building that skill. Another connection I'll say with arts is science. But before we go in, I wanted to thank you all for joining us once again, and just remind us, if you haven't signed up for the Montessori Home Education Program, next year is really going to be exciting. In fact, I'm excited. Next year, we're going to be adding some coding also to the curriculum. So this is not typical. This is not your typical Montessori program. Of course, we have the regular subject areas in every Montessori curriculum for 0 to 6 year olds. Oh yes, the more messy it is, the more they can concentrate. So the program is for 0 to 6 year olds, and typically we have language, mathematics, sensory. We also have practical life, culture, and science. Thank you, Zeno, for joining. Thank you. We also have culture and science, and we have the sensorial curriculum. But next year we're going to be adding more or less coding and offline coding for your 0 to 6 year old. It's so exciting. I'm really happy to announce to all. So if you've signed up, just stay tuned. You're going to be enjoying that. If you haven't signed up, make sure you do that, because right now the price is really affordable at the early bird pricing. And of course, some of these short courses we'll be having alongside the program may be open to the public. Some may or may not be. If it's open to the public, you will end up paying more than if you had just subscribed for the full year. So I want to make sure you don't miss it. We're going to be having um, adding coding to the Montessori curriculum. We're also going to be having a reading program, that would help your child to actually get started on reading, like get all the skills and the materials that you need, some of the printable materials that you need. So make sure you are signed up. The early bird pricing ends on December 6th. If you haven't signed up, let me know in the chat what you are waiting for. Okay, so we're going to continue. So we're talking about how arts connects to science. We've connected it to mathematics, to language, to concentration and focus. So the other aspect is science. Now, mixing colors is a very good example. Well, yeah, coding, Fisayo. Mixing colors is a very good example of science. What is, when you have something changing from one form to the other, what else is that, right? That is science for sure. If your child is able to mix red and blue and see that that forms purple, if you start talking to them later on when we're doing chemistry or even whatever it is, and we're saying, oh, something changes from one form to the other, you can easily use that color example. For example, mixing red and blue, you get purple. Or what are you going to get if you mix red and yellow? In fact, of recent, our older daughter, her favorite question, maybe when she's coloring, is, "Oh, mommy, what colors can I mix to get this?" I'll say, "Well, try it out." I'm not there to provide all the answers. I'm there to encourage you to find out for yourself, especially when it's not like a big deal, right? I know that by mixing the colors, she will find out what will give what color. And I noticed that because I'm not just providing those answers. Of recent, there was a time she was trying to get. I think she was asking me which colors she would mix to get red. Well, I was in my mind, I'm thinking red is already a primary color, so I don't know what you want to mix to get red. So I said, I'm not even, I just said try. And then I saw her, she picked up pink, probably because she saw that pink is close to red, and then she picked up orange. I was like, okay, that's good thinking. That's good thinking, right? So you want to make sure you're not just providing answers, them actually think. And I think she was able to get the shade of red she was looking for. I'm just thinking, oh, that's a primary color. I don't know what you want to mix to get it, right? But as a child, her mind is open. She's already seeing that, okay, it's not only primary colors you mix to get secondary colors. There are other things you can combine. So you see critical thinking skills coming from just somebody trying to color something and they can't find a particular color that is missing. Imagine if I had said, you're spending too much time coloring. Go and write, go and read your book. That would have been a lost opportunity, right? So this is something that Montessori does for you. Being able to observe your child is a very valuable skill that a parent can build that would help their children become the best. So yeah, so mixing colors is a very good scientific example. You can mix these colors even typically I would have said, like, when I was trying to show my child how you can mix colors to get from mix two to get one other color, right? I was always thinking of how I'll use two poster colors, even the washable ones, the paint process. And this time I'll be planning to set it up. It's, oh, I'm going to put a jar of red, a jar of yellow, and let them mix it together. But then I saw that it doesn't even have to be that complicated. My daughter will just carry crayons. She's mixing red and yellow crayons, coloring it in the same spot. So the adult is there overthinking the thing, but when you just observe these children for a while, you will actually learn a lot from them. But you need to give them that space. You need to acknowledge that what they are doing is valuable. If you cannot see that, if you cannot respect that, you miss out on a lot of things that your child can show you and your child can do for themselves. Our slogan here, our goal, our mission is that we are not here to teach the child. We are here to foster the love of learning because the child can teach themselves. There are a lot of things I don't even worry about because I just know that, you know what, I just need to give them the basic skills, the fundamentals, and then it's more like release them. Like when Jesus sent the disciples forth, he just gave them what the basics, right? And then sent them forth. He was not going to give them every single thing they will see when they go to every single house. No. With the children, what you do is you foster that love of learning, foster that interest, give them the environment, allow them to concentrate, stop interrupting them every second because you feel they are just playing. That play is very serious. Child, do not take it for granted. So if I'm speaking, if you think of any other subject you can connect arts to, feel free to share it in the chat. I'm happy to also take that in. It's a very big learning curve, learning process. We with an open mind, really, you can learn a lot from children and also from ourselves. So another thing that you can learn from art is the fact that the names of colors, that's also going beyond this is red, this is yellow, this is blue. Before they can start talking about this is light blue, dark blue, and this is what helps their description. You want your child to get to that point where they can describe something and say, oh, this was this shade. I know we have a number of jokes where we'll say, when people are trying to choose maybe wedding dresses or something, there's teal green, there's all sorts of funny names, right? And some people might get triggered when they don't understand which color they're talking about. But these are things your children can actually enjoy doing now, discovering that wide range of colors beyond red, yellow, blue. They go to secondary and then they start going to the shades. Oh, yes. Fisaya said I should show respect and know that what they are doing is valuable. Yes. If you haven't got to that point where you're able to respect your child's work, no matter how scrappy it looks, I mean, it's meant to, no matter how scrappy it looks, then you're going to miss out on a lot of things. It is very key. That's why respect for the child is one of the first topics we teach when we start off the Montessori home education program. Because if you're not able to respect your child, and respect is not about bowing down to your children, no. If you understand what respect is, you see that even the respect, children deserve respect for their skills, respect for their abilities. That is why you also don't do for themselves. There's a Dr. Maria Montessori quote that says, never help a child with a task at which they feel they can succeed. So if a child feels they can succeed, you jumping in and interrupting them is actually a lack of respect, right? I think I've shared it in a different video how if you're capable of eating and feeding by yourself, I'm just able to eat by myself, and then someone just takes a spoon and starts feeding me. That's actually disrespect, right? So, and these are things we learn for children a number of times because maybe we feel that they are slow and so on. It can be difficult. But really, the biggest way to address some of those things is giving a little more time, starting things earlier. Most times, we may find if we look at it critically, we may see that we are the ones that just we start off things, we're hurrying here, hurrying there, poor planning and all that. And then the children are bearing the brunt of it. They want to take their time with their small bodies, but we are rushing them because we have factored in certain things. We haven't, accommodated them, because it's all about accommodation, right? According to their skill, they need a little more time for certain things. So if you don't plan for that time and then you're rushing them, you want to do everything for them because of your own frustration, then you need to check really who is at fault here and what is it that really needs to be changed. Is it you or the child? because when they have time to do certain things, they can do it better, they can help themselves, and they can build concentration. Concentration is such a valuable skill that you do not want to tamper with. When you allow your child to concentrate, you find that they can do so much more than when they are constantly interrupted. When we scream their name from the other room without even seeing what they are working on, when we just say it's time to go without acknowledging that they were doing something, and maybe they can come to a reasonable conclusion of that thing. Or you say, okay, after painting the leg, right, after painting the hand or the flower, the one petal or the other, give them some room to actually just cut, to wind down things, and not just cut abruptly, as long as there is no emergency, right? So these are some of the valuable skills that a child can build from arts in an ink subject. And I think really that is where we will wrap it up for today. But if you have any questions, and if you want to share really, how have you seen your child use arts in their environment? Which kind of artwork do they like to do? Is it art? Is it craft? Is it crayons? Some children prefer crayons to markers, some prefer markers to color pencils, some prefer color pencils to poster colors, some just want to rub paint all over their face, all over their body. Which one, which child or which children are you dealing with, and what have you learned today? Don't forget to share that, even as it crosses your mind as you hear it. And don't forget to share this with your friend, especially the one that may say, oh, my child is always making a mess everywhere. What they need really is to create that environment for the child to work on it, develop these skills that we have talked about for mathematics, for language, for sensorial skills, for building their concentration, and even for science as well. So, five different areas that we have mentioned that arts is connected to. And yes, and that should be it for today. So, let me know. I don't see the chat. I think it might be frozen. But let me know what you are going to change today and how you are going to apply this at home. Again, if you haven't signed up for our program, what are you waiting for? Please sign up. Sign up. Next year is going to be very, very good. We're revamping the program from this year. This year was great, but next year is going to be greater. And I'm really excited about the coding program and the reading program, which will be included for participants, and a number of other short courses, of course. But the good thing is that with participants, you have up to a 50% discount for some courses that will be open to the public. You also have some exclusive courses just for you, the special parents that have joined us on the journey. Don't miss the early bird discount that is open till December 6th. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. The video description will have the link to sign up for the program if you haven't done so. And I'll see you all in the community, the WhatsApp community. Hope you are all there. And thank you very much once again. It's Nkemsi Nachiago from the Montessori Home Education Academy. Thank you for joining us. And have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye. Thank you, Fisayo. Thank you for joining. All right.